An elderly Kentucky woman who shot and killed her husband will be getting out of prison after serving less than half her sentence. Good evening, everybody. Convicted killer Cheryl McCafferty will be getting out of prison a lot sooner than the victim's family and the prosecutor expected.
McCafferty was convicted of first-degree manslaughter for the 2007 shooting death of her husband Robert in their Fort Thomas home. She was sentenced to 18 years in prison. Well, now, a new law that took effect after her trial will spring her from jail 6 months earlier than expected. Local 12's Joe Webb joins us now with an explanation. Joe.
Well, Cammie, Robert McCafferty's family just found out about this a couple of weeks ago. They were expecting Cheryl McCafferty to serve through next year or maybe even longer. But here's the deal. Kentucky House Bill 463 2 years ago created what's called mandatory reentry supervision. That's the equivalent of automatic parole 6 months before the end of your sentence. Now, because Cheryl McCafferty's sentencing agreement stipulated she was a domestic violence victim, she's considered a nonviolent offender, even though her crime was first-degree manslaughter. So she qualifies for that early release, and the Department of Corrections says she'll be out next spring. Her projected release is about 8.5 years from the morning the peace was shattered on Madonna Place in Fort Thomas. While Cheryl McCafferty fell apart in the front yard, her husband Robert was dead of a gunshot wound to the head in their bed. That was June 24, 2007. In March 2009, the jury found Cheryl McCafferty guilty of first-degree manslaughter, but the sentence was not decided by the jury. A deal was worked out. 18 years, no appeal, but no challenge to the defense motion asking the judge to rule she was a domestic violence victim. That changed things. First, Cheryl McCafferty was up for an early parole hearing. That took place in January 2011. During the hearing, McCafferty once again talked about domestic violence and expressed remorse.
Do you have any remorse for what you did, McCafferty? Any remorse for taking your husband's life?
Every single day. You know, I look at it, not me. It's not about me. It's about what my children have had to endure every single day.
Parole was denied, with the next hearing set 5 years down the road. In the meantime, Kentucky passed House Bill 463 and mandatory reentry, which took effect in June 2013. With good time, Cheryl McCafferty's estimated release date had been pushed to December 15, 2016. And because of the nonviolent status granted domestic violence victims, she's eligible to get out 6 months earlier. Now, the Department of Corrections says that will likely be April 2016. Cheryl McCafferty has a parole hearing set for next month, even though she will get out a few months later regardless of the outcome. Prosecutor Michelle Snodgrass says she will fight parole to keep McCafferty locked up as long as possible. But if she's granted parole, she's very likely to get out next January. Cammie?
All right, Joe Webb, thank you. Now, we contacted members of both Robert and Cheryl McCafferty's families today for comment. They did not want to talk on camera.